Today's awesomely entertaining video is brought to you by Sidetracked Workshop. More on them coming up. I found this list of 25 albums every gentleman should own. It's put together by this online publication called The Gentleman's Journal. Thought it'd be fun to go through this list and determine how much of a gentleman I am based on the records I own from this list, and conversely, maybe you can figure out how much of a gentleman you are. Kind of odd, but I thought it'd be fun. Let's dive in. The first album on the list, The Who, Who's Next? I do own this one. I happened to pull it out just before I did this video. This is the fifth album from The Who, released in August 1971. I do really dig this album. Of course, it's got the two classics on here, Bob O'Reilly and Won't Get Fooled Again. Won't Get Fooled Again. It's probably my favorite Who track. Does this make me more of a gentleman for owning this? I have no idea. All right, I'm one for one. What's next here on the list? Led Zeppelin 3. Hold on one sec. I knew I owned it. I just couldn't remember how many copies of it I had. I got two copies, both with the spinning wheel, both in really good condition. They're both Canadian pressings. This is my listen copy. And this one is actually a still sealed copy, I believe from the 1980s. It's got the spinning wheel. I bought a collection of still sealed records like a decade ago, and I kept some sealed. So, all right, I'm 2 for 2. What do they say here? Led Zeppelin 3, third studio album from Led Zeppelin, released in October 1970. I mean, is this the Led Zeppelin album to own, to be a gentleman, for whatever that means? I don't know, man. I would put Physical Graffiti on the list. All right, to Led Zeppelin 3, what is next? Pink Floyd, Dark Side of the Moon. I'm pulling some of these out to refresh my memory, but others just to figure out how many copies of some of these classic albums I own. There's a older Canadian pressing, and this has been reissued so many times I can't remember what reissue this one is. Released in 1973. It's not my favorite Pink Floyd album. My favorite is probably Wish You Were Here. I even like, I'm not sure this is a controversial statement, I even like the Division Bell better than Dark Side. So Dark Side, yeah, okay, it's a classic. You know, just going through this, these lists should always be taken with a grain of salt. It even says this here in the article. It says finding a definitive best list is about as easy as running on ice and high heels. Still, it doesn't really say what the criteria were for making the list, but whatever, this is fun. Let's keep going. All right, what other gentlemanly albums do we have on the list? The Beatles, the White Album. This is a pretty good list so far. Maybe I'm saying that because I own most of these. I'm pretty sure I own the White Album. Aha, I knew I had it. Here's my copy of the White Album. I'm going to tally up my score at the end of this video to see how much of a gentleman I am based on these records. You should keep score yourself. All right, next on the list, MC5, Kick Out the Jams. The debut from American prototype band MC5, released in 1969. I don't own this album. I probably should get it. I will add it to my want list, but I don't own any MC5. Next up, Rolling Stones, Sticky Fingers, a classic. Hold on. I remember, even a decade ago, I would find these quite a bit, even with a working zipper at thrift stores, including inserts. I got that one. I got the reissue from, I don't know, this was like from 2015 or something like that. And I got another older pressing, Sticky Fingers, that was a thrift store find. It says here Sticky Fingers is the 9th British and 11th American studio album by the Stones, released in 1971. Great album, man. Brown Sugar, Wild Horses, Dead Flowers. I love this album. All right, 33 years. Personally, I can't tell you what records a gentleman should own, but I can tell you if you're serious about record collecting, you should check out Sidetracked Workshop, the sponsor of today's video. Sidetracked Workshop handcrafts quality all-wood furniture in the USA. It's not flat-packed or bolted together stuff. These record consoles come to you fully assembled. You only need to screw on the feet, that's it, and shipping is free in the US. Dear 33ers, you spend a lot of time and money on your record collection. Show it off proudly in style with these beautiful mid-century modern designs. Head over to sidetrackedworkshop.com to learn more. And when you're ready to buy, use code 33RPM at checkout for 15% off. All right, Cheap Trick Dream Police. Believe it or not, I was late to the Cheap Trick party, and I didn't realize this. I think I got 3 copies of Dream Police. Got the Cheap Trick box set, and I got a older pressing of it. Older, yeah, I'm gonna guess this from the 80s. And I have another modern reissue of it. It says here's the fourth studio album from Cheap Trick, released in 1979. Dream Police, voices, Gonna Raise Hell. I love that riff from Gonna Raise Hell. Great album. Kiss Alive, of course. I own Kiss Alive. This is making me really gentlemanly, isn't it? How many copies do I have, though? Let's check. Man, I got a lot of copies of some of these records. People are probably like, why do you have so many copies? Because they're all subtly different. I got 4 copies of Kiss Alive. Here is an older Canadian pressing, but not an original. Based on that label, non-original. Then I have the Japanese pressing with all the goodies. And I have another Canadian reissue. This is not the reissue, this is the original. Check out the label. This is an original Canadian pressing with the booklet. And then I got a reissue. My wife bought this for me. There you go, Kiss Alive. Okay, Alice Cooper, Love It to Death. Man, I'm actually digging this list. I'm not sure how owning these records makes anyone more of a gentleman, but I'm not going to argue with it. Let's check this one out. All right, this one I own a couple copies of. I got the Rocktober reissue from a few years back. This is where they restored the original cover. And Alice Cooper's thumb is there, and people thought it was something else. Oh, I got 3 copies. Okay. Then I got a reissue. And another reissue. These two are pretty similar. I think they're the same pressing. It's, you know, there was a time when I would buy boxes of records off of people or hit thrift stores. So this stuff was really easy to find. So that's why I sometimes have 2 copies of the same pressing. And I kind of took it for granted finding records really cheap because now they're harder to find. So at some point I'll probably go through this and pare it down and get rid of some of my doubles, but for now, there we go. All right, next up we have New York Dolls, Too Much Too Soon. I gotta say, I've heard a lot about the New York Dolls over the years, but I don't own any. I'm not sure if I've even heard the New York Dolls, so let me know what I'm missing out on and where I should start if I want to delve into the New York Dolls catalog. Miles Davis, Kind of Blue. Yes, I do have this. This was my introduction to jazz. I have 1 copy, I know that, so I'm not going to bother pulling it off the shelf. Oh, okay, what the hell, I will. Huh, that sucks. I know I got a copy. It might be in the next room or upstairs, but it was a record store day copy from a while back. Anyway, this is a great album if you're curious about jazz and want to get into it. I'd never heard it before, and you kind of put it on and you recognize songs just because there's such a big part of popular culture. But yeah, it says here, Kind of Blue is a studio album released by Miles Davis, released in 1959. And if you get a good pressing, man, it sounds like it was recorded yesterday. Fantastic album. The Clash, London Calling. I do have some Clash. I got the Clash box set on CD up there, but I don't have London Calling, so that's one I definitely want to add to my collection, and I keep forgetting I want to add it, so I'm going to keep an eye out for it. Marvin Gaye, What's Going On? I do have this one. Ugh, I'm stacking up too many records around me. It's on my shelf here, I think. Okay, it's not up there. Here it is. Here it is. It's a modern reissue of this album. Was again, I was a latecomer to this album. I probably got this 2 or 3 years ago. It was released back in 1979. Classic soul album. Okay, what else? This list is pretty good, right? You gotta agree, it's pretty good. David Bowie, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars. I got quite a bit of Bowie in my collection, but I am missing this one, so I'll have to give myself an X on that. Jimi Hendrix Experience. Are You Experienced? I definitely have at least 1 copy of this record. Let me check. I have the modern 180 gram reissue of it. I have an older stereo pressing. There is the record label. That copy is in beautiful condition. And I have a mono pressing as well. Here's the label on this one. I'm not sure. It's probably not an original, but it's definitely an older pressing. Anyway, great album. Foxy Lady, Manic Depression, Red House, Can You See Me, Third Stone from the Sun, Are You Experienced? Man, Stone Cold classic. Okay, let's keep this train a moving. Let's keep it moving. Bob Dylan, Blood on the Tracks. Quite a bit of Dylan here. Desire, Blonde on Blonde, compilation. So I do not have Blood on the Tracks. I'll keep an eye out for that one as well. Queen, Night at the Opera. You know, Queen is interesting. I do dig Queen, but I'm someone who could get away with a best of Queen kind of thing. I don't think I have this one, but let me look. Okay, I got Queen Greatest Hits, News of the World, The Game, Greatest Hits, Jazz, Day at the Races, Live Magic. So I got quite a bit of Queen, but I do not have A Night at the Opera. Doors, LA Woman. No. I don't have that one. Classic album, of course. Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction. Would a gentleman really own Appetite for Destruction? I don't know. I got 3 copies, believe it or not. This one is a Columbia House pressing. Remember that? 12 records for a penny. And I got a couple versions with the band cover. This one is from Germany. This one, I believe, it's from the UK. Man, this stuff, I'm glad I got into record collecting when I did, because this stuff, you could find this stuff relatively inexpensive, even like a decade ago. I don't think I paid $10. I think I paid more than $10 for any of those. So I'm hanging on to them. Okay, the Kinks. Kinks, I don't have any Kinks in my collection. This was released in 1964. I'm sure it's a cool album. I'll have to check it out online someday. Aerosmith, Toys in the Attic. Man, a great Aerosmith record. I know I have this one, but let's check. AC/DC, Accept, Aerosmith. Just so I don't have to put these all back later. There we go. Copy of Toys in the Attic. That one, by the way, was released in 1975. Walk This Way. Everyone knows Walk This Way. It's got a big 10-inch Sweet Emotion. Great record. AC/DC, Back in Black. I got 2 copies. One is original Canadian. One is a reissue, I believe. Classic record. All right, Willie Nelson, Stardust. I dig Willie, man. He's like 90 now or something, isn't he? And he sits on his tour bus smoking pot like he's a 20-year-old. I don't have that record, though. Iggy and the Stooges, Funhouse. I think I have this. There we go. I actually have the Run Out Groove deluxe version that came out a few years back. So description here says Funhouse is the second studio album by the Stooges, released in 1970. Classic album. And this one stands out, doesn't seem to fit with the rest. Ryan Adams, Love is Hell. It is indeed. At times, I do not own Ryan Adams.
Channel 33, RPM.
All right, so doing a quick calculation, I own 15 of the 25 records, so I scored 60% on the gentleman's scale. I mean, you can always take these lists with a grain of salt, and this article doesn't really explain how they defined what a gentleman's album is, but nonetheless, not taking this too seriously, it was a lot of fun. All right, 33ers, how do you rank on this list of 25 albums every gentleman should own? What's your percentage? What's your number? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching. I will be back again really soon. Until then, keep on spinning.